go into the Peace Corps thinking you're going to help somebody, and those very same people end up helping you. So that to me is the Peace Corps in a nutshell. And I also have found that the Peace Corps and world languages are so completely intertwined in my life, but that I have found the Peace Corps experience, because of the language connections, transformational. It completely changed how I look at the world and every single decision I ever made. So those are really the two recurring themes that I have felt from my Peace Corps experiences. The governor and I graduated from UW-Madison in 1967. We signed up for the Peace Corps in December, and in June, about a week after graduation, we were told we would be going to Tunisia in North Africa, and that we were to get ready to leave to Peace Corps training at Brown University. We got to Brown University, and we met the other people in our group, and most everybody had had a little experience with French. They had some high school French, they knew a little. We got to Brown, we had an hour of French a day. If you needed a little bit more, you were told to report to the language lab. Then maybe an hour of cultural experiences and history and things, and the rest was Arabic. And we trained intensively on Arabic, and the Peace Corps language training was outstanding. I remember when the night before the Tunisian ambassador was coming to visit Madison, not long ago, just a couple of years, the governor and I were kind of chuckling away about how we remembered so little of our Tunisian Arabic. But we started recalling some of the situations we had been in, and immediately the dialogues that the trainers had made us memorize, immediately they came to mind again. And I guess one of the things the ambassador remarked to the governor later is that when he asked him to take a seat, he said, "Aka dalan mishwar," or I'm sure that is nothing anymore, but it's how we remembered it and what he used. And it basically said, "Sit down with us a minute." But that was just automatic because Peace Corps language training was that solid. So that was in 1967. We memorized the conversations, and we were able to use them when we got to our village. All of the people in our program were trained to be high school English teachers, but the great thing about that program, especially in those early years, was that the teachers were requested by the Tunisian government. And if you're thinking about Peace Corps, it's really great to have a carved out role. It really helps at the beginning, and it really made a difference then to know that the government had requested us. We got assigned one of the most remote villages. We were the only 2 English speakers in our village, and that was just ideal, as you can imagine, because when we were out in the world, we had to speak either French or Arabic. Nobody else understood English. But you know, when you were just exhausted, or maybe you had a really stressful day, you had that one other person when you got home that you could talk to. At that time in the late 60s, the United States wasn't a very popular country with most people overseas. We were engaged in the Vietnam War, and yet going and functioning as an English teacher completely transcended all of that. When we came back to this country, then my husband Jim, who later became governor, I shouldn't have been calling him governor before. That was really stupid because he was just at college in the 60s. But anyway, he decided to go to law school, and I decided to go into teaching. I just wasn't quite sure what I was going to do. And my first job was teaching in Acton, Massachusetts, 6th grade French. I had, I think, 21 classes a week and drove from school to school. And it was just absolutely crazy. I loved the teaching so much, though, that I asked a principal the next year if I could teach every subject. And I haven't taught French since, I have to confess. But it's because I started really getting fascinated by the teaching and learning process, but all those practices that you learn in language classes, and discovering the patterns of learning, and then making up your own examples to fit the pattern, all those things I think really, really helped me understand how people learn. The idea of using somebody's job to also serve, I think, is something that many people take away from the Peace Corps as well. I think, too, that this whole idea of service, it's probably not so important what you do, but just that you do something.